Okay, that passes off as a basketball or a hockey buzzer. I feel that will pass for this episode. Episode 64 with Reagan Russ, but some messages before we get along the way. We remember the Globally Ballin Network, so do check them out for original sports content. Screenshot that page. Check the description if you are listening on audio. Let's carry on. Follow us on social media. We are now on TikTok. That is my new favorite social media platform. So
we have a bet. We have a bet.
You haven't agreed to the terms yet, okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm excited for that. We'll update you about that as we carry on. Episodes are on the YouTube page. But by the way, WTHAW podcast for our social media. And let's carry to the next slide. Our episodes are on the YouTube page of Globally Ballin. Subscribe, hit that bell button. Never miss a beat. Check us out on Spotify if you're on the go. Who the heck are we? It's on the bottom right there of your screen. Our sister shows are there too. Speaking of sister shows, we have the Hang Time podcast with Denise Dinsay for your volleyball conversations with the different sporting personalities here in the Philippines. An eternity of basketball. We got Noel, Charlie Sid, JP Mercado. They relive the golden era of Philippine hoops. And our sponsors, thank you very much.
Noel.
Did I say Noel? Noel was the first. Sorry, Sir Noel.
Ventura. Okay, sorry.
Sir Noel is there. Yes. Sponsors, Chops to Go, New Era, Hinuluban, Judge's Delights, Our Fratelli for Soulful Cereal Milk, Cuts Apparel. And man, that buffet right there is filling me up. I'm forgetting what to say. Anyway, Cuts Apparel PH for your shirts, biking polos, you name it. Thank you very much for our uniforms and support local. So Claudia, I'm very excited for this episode that we have right here. Man, Philippine American hockey player playing pro in Sweden at the moment and founder of the Female Athlete Society. Take a look at the credentials right there. As a great role model. We got Reagan Russ, so shall we bring her in? And she's recording from Sweden because she's playing pro right there. Woohoo!
Hello.
Hi. Reagan, is that correct?
Reagan.
Yes, Reagan, like Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Got that. That's a perfect way to say it.
God.
Okay, so you're playing pro right now, or I think you're about to start in Sweden. How has it been over there, transitioning from the US, or I think you played in Hungary before making the jump over to Scandinavia?
Yeah. Honestly, the transition hasn't been too bad. So I played 1 year out of college in the States. So I was playing in the PWHPA. And so that was like probably the highest level competition you can get because it was with the Team USA, Team Canada, all those players. And then when I was in Budapest, again, good competition, really great teammates, like them a lot. We couldn't really communicate that well together, so that's okay because they spoke Hungarian. Some of them spoke a lot of English, but it was so-so. And then now that I'm here, everyone speaks English, which is super nice. Like, I wish I could learn Swedish, but it's kind of hard. Like, they're trying to teach me every single day in the locker room. And I just fumble it every time they laugh at me, but it's okay. Like I'm trying, I'm learning. So it's been a really good time so far.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. We had a guest, his name's Patrick Dato, Filipino playing in Thailand. Same situation as you. Like he did not know the language at all, so he just had to start somewhere. But what team are you playing for, by the way? And how does the competition structure go?
I'm playing for AIK here in Stockholm. Well, it's about 10 minutes outside, so we're not exactly in the city, but the boys are. And we play all Swedish teams. It's in the Swedish Hockey League here, or the SDHL. And I think there's maybe 10 or so teams. We're in the top league, so we play some of the best girls in Sweden, but they also recruit from all over Europe.
But you got your education in the USA. Eventually, you capped off your career in Boston University, reading up. I think you ended your career with a bang, with big goals in the semifinals and finals. What made you want to explore Europe, given it seems like there are opportunities in the USA?
Yeah. So the PWHPA was just starting out my first year out of college. And so the CWHL, which was the Canadian Women's Hockey League. And if you don't know what the PWHPA is, it's Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. And So it was formed basically to combat unequal pay for female athletes in the hockey industry. And so I joined them because a lot of my friends were playing for them. A lot of my friends are on like Team Canada, Team USA. And so I wanted to support them and like a brighter future for female athletes here in the United States. And then so I played in that for a year. I was working full-time corporate, and then I just like kept getting this nagging feeling like, all right, you should go to Europe at least once. Just go and try it, see if you like it. Whatever happens, happens. And so that's what ultimately I based my decision off of, to go to Europe just to see it.
Wow. Okay, Reagan, you're of course you're Filipino. That's why you're part of this podcast. That's why we're interviewing you. Tell us more about how you actually got into playing hockey. I mean, it's odd to hear a Filipina or a Filipino getting into hockey. It's normally basketball or even soccer at most, right? So
yeah. Oh, can I add one thing? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because we here in the USA, like the basketball church leagues of the Filipino communities are like really intense.
Filipino.
Why hockey among all the different sports that you were exposed to in the USA growing up?
Yeah, so I actually played all sports. I started with t-ball. I think that was my first sport ever. Did not like it. It was not fun to me. You just run around bases. And then my aunt actually started going to hockey games. It was in the CHL at the time. So I think it was called the Central Hockey League with the Memphis River Kings. And so I started going when I was like 4 years old. And by the time I was 5, they were like, oh my gosh, like you guys are here all the time. We're starting up a rec league. You and your sister should come. So me and my sister actually both joined the rec league at the same time. And we show up, they're like, there's gonna be so many little girls, whatever. We show up, there's 3 girls and 30 little boys. And we're like, okay, thanks for lying to us, but it's okay, we're gonna keep doing it. And I think by the time I was age like 7 or 8, my best friend, who is still my best friend to this day, Kyla Floresca, her family, she's full Filipino, played hockey with me. And you love to see it. Filipinos in the South playing hockey. So we ended up basically competing against each other. We were super competitive, as all Filipinos are. And so we became best friends naturally. And we traveled like all throughout the US playing hockey together at every single level, rec up to AAA hockey.
Okay, this is a question we asked. We had Danielle Imperial as one of our guests. And did the movie Mighty Ducks influence you whatsoever?
I was already playing by that point, so I loved it. I was like, yeah, I love the Mighty Ducks. But if anything, it was the movie Miracle for me.
That was Canadian like, one. Yeah, the one about the Canadian.
No, US 1980 team.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So how did that motivate you or inspire you to really push on and pursue your hockey career?
I think I was in 5th grade. That was when I made a 10-year plan for myself. And so what was I, like 10 or 11 at the time? And so I made a 10-year plan that's like, I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to play hockey at Harvard. I want to make the U.S. Olympic team. And I want to go to really good prep school, all this stuff. Me and my uncle made it at my brother's wedding. And I didn't do any of those things. I did them all slightly, just like different ways. And so I was watching that movie, and I don't know, I was just really inspired by like every single hockey trip I would watch that movie. And I was just like, oh, if they can do it when all odds are against them, then like I can do this. So like it kept giving me that motivation. I like watched everything into it. And I'm actually friends with Mike Rooney's son now, Uruzionis, the captain from that team. Yeah, so full circle.
Wow. Okay, so that inspired you. You were in grade, you were 4 years old, 5 years old when you started your hockey career.
Yeah.
What made you choose to go to Boston and really also pursue your hockey there?
It's a long story, to be honest with you, because of course I would have loved to have gone to Boston University first, but I actually played 2 years at RIT. So I didn't get any Division I offers until my senior year, and then I only got 1. I got like all these D3 offers, but I was like, no, like I really want to play Division I hockey. And I was at this tournament in Boston, surprisingly enough, for a summer tournament while I was still in high school, like my senior year of high school. And my coach was like, hey, we're short on defensemen. Does anyone want to jump back and play defense today? And I was like, I'll do it. And so I jumped back, and that was the game that Division I coach saw me play. And he was like, wow, she's super offensive as a defense. And I was like, yeah, it's because I'm a forward usually. And that's what he told him. But he's like, no, we like her. And so he messaged me on Twitter and got my information, then called me after that, and then went on an official. Played there for 2 years, ended up transferring to BU, and then the rest is history.
So it was that moment of raising your hand saying, I want to play defense.
Yeah. I had always wanted to play defense too, but mom was like, no, you need to be a forward. You need to score goals. And I was like, I don't want to do that.
Why is that? Why is that? What's that mentality of like, I want to score goals is I think more important in a team. Why do you think that is? And you wanted to be a defender. Why is that?
I like the physicality of being a defenseman and the fact that it's all positioning. And like, I can shut down any forward because like I know how forwards think. And so I always wanted to like step back because like I knew that I didn't have the skill set as some of these other forwards where like they could make these really good passes or they could dangle around all these other defensemen. I'm just like, I'm not really good at that. Like, I'm really good at the other stuff of hockey. Like, I wanted to be a goalie at first. Let me go back just a little bit farther. My mom was like, no, absolutely not. I played goalie once, and I got scored on like 10 times. I was like, yeah, I'm done here. So defense was the next best thing.
And it's physical.
Yeah, and it's physical.
Your mom saying, no, you got to score. I think that's as Filipino it can get because
Yes.
Filipinos love high-scoring games. They love their numbers. Hence, their love with, let's say, basketball or even volleyball, we can say.
Yep.
So you're saying, I think, if you didn't start out with a Division I school, you got offers in Division III. Do you mind like telling us how does it work in the States? I know that you have 3 divisions and you seem to give so much value in going to a Division I school.
Yeah, so they start pretty young. Like I had friends getting full ride scholarships to play at Division I schools when they were in like 9th or 10th grade. And so I was not one of those players. I didn't peak. I actually developed a lot between like my sophomore and junior season. And so by that point, all coaches had already reached out to their top prospects. And so I kind of got left behind. So like I was a top D3 prospect. And that was good and all, but like I had always had my hopes set on playing D1, mainly because like nobody had ever done it from Mississippi. I really loved hockey and I chose hockey over basketball in 9th grade. Like if I was going to go D1 in one sport, I wanted to be hockey. And so there were like people telling me I couldn't do it. There were coaches that were like, you might be able to go D1, whatever. And so sadly enough, like a lot of it was me proving to other people that I could do it. And so whenever I was getting those offers from the D3 schools, like they'll reach out via email, whatever it is. Then you get it on calls, you can go on unofficial visits. And then your senior year is when you can actually go on the official visits and you can see all schools, meet your teammates, all of that. And I knew as soon as I stepped on like the campus at RIT, that I was like, yeah, being a D1 athlete would be super cool. And so you sign the papers and you commit to the team and then you play out your senior season and then you make your way to college. That's usually how it goes for most people, but it's a lot of sending emails.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. But going back with that story where you ended up playing defense, where you just raised your hand, did you ever train preparing for that situation, or were you always a forward and it just so happens, oh, coach needs someone to play defense right now, and you just raised your hand and say, I'll do it without any knowledge? Or did you have that preparation in practice?
Yeah, I just really liked hockey, so I was always studying the other positions. More so just like watching other people play it and asking questions about it. But I think I had played maybe like 1 or 2 years with boys hockey. So like maybe 8th and 9th grade, but I hadn't played defense in a very, very long time leading up to that.
So at least you kind of had that foundation, we can say, even if it was years back. Claudia, you got
Mhm.
anything hockey related before we carry
Yes,
on?
I do. So
Perfect.
hockey, we've seen it in the NHL and all that, even in the Mighty Ducks. The fighting, the physical fighting. Do you ever do that? Is that allowed?
I'm actually the person that fights the least, I think, of anyone on my team. I like to say, like, I'm just very calm on the ice. Like, it's very unlikely that somebody will get me riled up, but if they hit my goalie, that's when I'm down to throw a punch.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
we're very protective of our goalies here.
Is that common in a team, or is it just
Mhm.
your team where you play?
It's very
Common.
common. Yeah, defense or like if the coach preaches, like if they touch the goalie, take them down. Like,
Oh,
do not let them do it. It's also like a penalty too, but people will
oh,
go after the whistle and just like hit their gloves or like spray them in the face. Like it's just so unsportsmanlike. And so if that happens, you need to step in and defend your teammate.
wow. But is it really fights, like really boxing? I mean,
Um, it definitely depends on what rivalry you have with that team or like how big of a game it is. So if it's like a championship game, sometimes those can get super intense and people will start throwing punches. Or like if they hold your stick or like people start to get frustrated and that's when the fights break out.
Mhm.
yeah. So you're the silent physical player, right? From your story.
Well, I do talk a lot. That's
Oh,
the
you're
funny thing.
trash
Oh,
talker.
I'm Filipino. I'm
Yes.
Filipino.
I love
Since
it.
since you said that,
I,
our podcast might extend another hour.
What do you say?
I do talk a lot. I am very open about how much I talk. So that's like every team that I've ever been on, they know me for being like that vocal person on the bench. Like I do not let more than 5 seconds go without something being said. Like either cheering on my teammates, chirping another girl, trying to distract another player. Like I'm always saying something.
So you're the silent enforcer.
Yes,
No,
silent, and
silent.
I'm a cheerer though. That's the difference.
Okay.
Yes, I
So
cheer.
enforcer, you're an enforcer, but it's good. You're Filipino. You're living up to the name. To the name.
Of talking, whether it be
Yeah.
smack, good or bad. Yeah, just some things. Yeah. When I was sort of introduced to hockey, I turned on the TV. We had ASN for some time, and I saw people just going at it. Um, Claudia also asked that question because back in her day, playing college basketball here in the Philippines, she was the enforcer of her team.
Oh,
That's for the record, of course, because Claudia played college ball here.
that's
Another
awesome.
thing, Danielle Imperial. I see the contrasting styles. So you have yours. Danielle Imperial had a face-off, I think, with a friend who plays in the Singapore national team. Claudia, correct me if I'm wrong. She said, if you let me score here, I'm going to give you gift certificates to the restaurant over there, right outside the rink. But it didn't work out. That's the story she was telling us. Yeah. But
That's funny.
yeah. But we want to ask you a bit, your Filipino roots. I think you're from Mississippi, am I correct? Normally,
Yes.
we hear of Filipinos who are on the West Coast, like whether it be in
Mhm.
LA or San Francisco. How did you end up in the South, yes, of the USA?
I ask my parents that all the time. So actually, my back when my mom was born, I think that was like 1969. My grandfather, like that day she was born, he joined the U.S. Navy, and so he worked for a few years, was able to get like our family to Hawaii, and then move them to another base in California. So like all of my extended family, like aunts, uncles, grandfather, everything is in California. And then my mom met my dad, who had family both in California and in Mississippi, and my dad didn't like California. And so he moved my mom and my older brother now all the way to Mississippi back when I think my brother was like 3 or 2. And he's 35 now, 36.
I think
So,
that's quite a trip. I think California going to Mississippi, if I recall my
mhm.
geography. Yep. But how about your exposure to culture? Did did you always know that okay, my mom's Filipino, so maybe she's teaching me some things that are different as compared to your typical American household? How was it growing up?
So I would say my mom's pretty Americanized, where like she doesn't have the accent or anything because she basically grew up in the States.
Right.
But my grandfather has like the huge accent, Filipino accent, but I love him to death and it's awesome. And so like when my grandmother was around, like she used to teach me little words. My mom lost all of our Tagalog and Ilocano from like my grandparents. So like I never got to learn it. And I guess like I could still start trying to learn it, but it's harder whenever like I'm like 24 now. But she taught me how to make lumpia, pancit. Like I make it for all my friends. They're obsessed with it. And fried rice, like whatever it is, like I always take it with me wherever I go. And then whenever it's like a holiday or something, we always have a huge Filipino party because we'll usually go to their side because my dad's like, his side's super small. And so it'd be at least 50 of us. And you know how Filipinos do it, like crazy style. We have karaoke machines. We get a big, like all that stuff. I don't know why we did it, but it was something crazy was always going on.
Something crazy is always going on. Perfect way to describe it. Yeah. Have you ever visited Philippines with your mom or your folks? Anything like that?
Yeah, we took a huge family trip. There's probably like 15 of us that went. Wow. And this was back in, I think, summer 2016. Yeah,
Quite recent,
and so, yeah, not too long ago. I was supposed to go last year. We're planning a trip for next year if it opens up, just so we can go see our family again. But that was my first time ever going. And we flew into Manila. Then we drove the 6 hours north, like I was telling you guys before, to Ilocos. And it was just an unbelievable experience.
So was it like culture shock for you or when you first came here?
Yeah, I couldn't breathe. The humidity was like, I'm from Mississippi and I thought the humidity was bad there. But when I got to the Philippines, I was like, how do you guys live here?
Really humid.
Really humid, really hot. We were all sweating. And it was somewhat of a culture shock, but like I'm a person that like I love learning about how other people live. And so like seeing my family, seeing where my mom was born, like in their shack or in their little home, and then seeing like the barrio that they live in, and like they slaughtered a pig for us when we got there. It was so much fun. Yeah, unbelievable.
The lechon?
Is that like blood pig or something?
It's the whole pig.
No, that's different. No, blood pig is
Dinuguan.
Yeah, I think we had that. Something like that. But all we had was meat and rice the whole time we were with my family. My sister's vegetarian, or she's vegan, so she can't even have meat.
Oh no, that's okay. But okay. So you have a big Filipino family back home there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the States. When you were playing your hockey, was there a big crowd of Filipinos watching your games?
Or even family, yeah.
Or family, yeah.
Well, because I played so far away, like California was at least 4 or 5 hour flight from where I was playing in college. My mom would come up and visit every now and then. I had my cousins come out for a few games. And other than that, it was just like a bunch of friends. Not necessarily Filipinos, but whenever I saw a Filipino, I'd always ask. Because you can kind of tell the way they look. You're like, I think you're Filipino. And you just ask, and they're like, yeah, I am. I'm like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, it's an amazing community. I mean, once you know that the person's Filipino, oh gosh, you're gonna talk and talk and talk and talk, and like your best friends already.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. So, do you have any plans? I mean, after like you said, hopefully the Philippines opens up. I think you can actually come. How long are you thinking of staying here, or what's your purpose of visiting the Philippines?
I want to meet Danielle. I want to see my family again. Maybe play some hockey while I'm out there. I want to meet the whole team, all that stuff. The Team Philippines. And just travel around a little bit more because we only went to a few cities. I can't even name all of them that we went to, but it was really beautiful while we were there. So
you should go to the beaches here. The beaches are beautiful.
We went
to a couple. Yeah. They were really nice. I enjoyed it. But I was thinking about playing for the Team Philippines. I actually reached out to their general manager, but I would live there for a full year, then have to live another year there to play. And I have to like think about my career and everything once I'm done with hockey. So it's up in the air right now.
Right. And our podcast is a member of the Globally Ballin network. So do check them out for original sports content. Screenshot that page, or if you're in audio, check the link in our bio to access all of that. Let's carry on. Follow us on social media too at WTHAW Podcast. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And our episodes are on the YouTube page of Globally Ballin. Subscribe, hit that bell button, never miss a beat. So again, search Globally Ballin. Check the content of Who the Heck Are We? If you are on the go, you could also check us out on Spotify. Just search Who the Heck Are We? Other sister shows are also available right there. Just search them up, such as An Eternity of Basketball and Hang Time. Also have, again, Hang Time with Denise Dinsay as one of our sister shows. So head over there for your volleyball kwentuhan with the different personalities. We also have An Eternity of Basketball with Noel, Charlie, Sid, JP Mercado. Relive the golden era of Philippine hoops. Also, thank you to our sponsors. We got Chops to Go for a yummy chicken, chips, and milk tea too. In fact, so thank you to their branches in SM Bikutan, SM South Mall, SM North Eds for sponsoring us. New Era Cap PH2 for the finest headwear. Hiniluban Farms for your coffee. And Adlai, support local, just like Georgie's and Our Fratelli. Georgie's Delights, they give you your fantastic breakfast snacks. Our Fratelli, they give you your soulful cereal, milk, ice cream, and it was fantastic. Cuts Apparel too, again, for your biking button-down polos and your golf polos too. Give them a follow at Cuts Apparel PH. Thank you, Cuts, also for our very own uniforms. Do you need company or sports uniforms too? You can get them custom made again with Cuts Apparel PH. Right.
Okay. So aside from hockey, what else do you do? What else is your passion?
I'm super passionate about helping female athletes, mainly like the next generation of female athletes find their path in life. And so you guys mentioned it before, but it's called Female Athlete Society. And so that has people in it from over 15 different countries, over 300 girls. And they get resources on mental health, the mental side of the game, how to gain confidence, nutrition, workouts, all of that stuff. And if they want to play college sports, there's recruiting tips in there as well. So I help them with that. I do one-on-one calls with a lot of girls. And so I'm just like a mentor, I guess I would say, to a lot of them. And then on side of that, like huge mental health advocate because I struggled so much with it when I was growing up. So those are like my two main priorities. And then coaching. I love coaching ice hockey.
Kids.
Coaching.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Speaking of like mental health, what made you want to create this platform to help out people? You have your page. I think you're also, is that a mental performance coach for athletes specifically? Am I correct?
Yes, I was using that one at first, and then I switched it to Female Athlete Society. So now I just post all the tips and stuff there because it reaches a wider audience.
Okay. How does that work? Do you do like counseling with people, giving them tips one-on-one, or is it more of you with your platform disseminating like this information to people out there? Because I've been able to see it, and a lot of this stuff for mental health it's a big help, of course. So many people.
Yeah. So I do a little bit of both. Like I love just posting about it mainly because there's, that huge stigma, especially in Filipino culture. Like my family does not talk about mental health, and it bothers me so much because I'm like that open book. Like I've been telling you guys the whole time. And so I try to have those conversations with my family, but if I can't do it there, then I just put it online and maybe somebody else can resonate to it. Because like I'm open about how I almost committed suicide, how there's so many things that happened in my life. And I just think it's like such a big thing that we need to talk about. And so I put it out for female athletes too on Female Athlete Society on that Instagram page and within the community. So I'll do one-on-ones or group calls with girls. And then I can also do team calls. So I've done it all at this point.
You mentioned something. Sige, go, Clara. Sige.
Are you working with specifically hockey players, or have you been able to extend to younger girls who play all sorts of sports?
all sorts of sports. Like even oh my gosh, there's a sport here in Europe that's just a hoop with no backboard. Have you heard of
Netball?
it? Netball, yes. I
Netball.
have netball girls. I have Australian football girls. I have soccer, hockey, basketball, track, anything you can think of. Like I have the sport.
Yeah. You mentioned something really personal, not just now. Is you mentioned that you committed suicide, like you tried to commit suicide and all that. I'm sure there are a lot of athletes, even here, especially in the Philippines, that don't want to talk about it. They're shy because there is a stigma of mental illness or even mental health.
Mhm.
How do you break that barrier to the girls that don't want to talk about it, or even athletes that don't want to talk? What is your? I can't say it's not a magic sentence or
Mhm.
the right words, but how do you break that barrier to get it out of them?
I think a big thing is about having deeper conversations with people. Because a lot of the time, you know, in passing, I mean, Filipinos talk a lot, but we can talk a lot about nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Good point. Good
And-
point.
That's very
Yeah.
good.
We
Yeah,
can talk forever, but we don't know what we talked about in the conversation.
That's
and
right.
so I think a big thing is like having those deeper conversations with your friends. Like instead of just saying, how are you? Like, how are you doing? Like, how are you really doing right now? Like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever you want to say. And it starts just like with the conversations with your closest friends. Like that's usually the easiest for me. Like that's how I started, was telling my best friend, like, I'm not okay. I don't feel good. Like when I went away to prep school, that was when I really started stepping in. This was like 10th grade, so I was about 15 years old. Into how I felt, because nobody really talked about feelings when I was growing up, and there weren't really that many resources for mental health. Like there were like the suicide hotlines, but what about for those people in between? Like what are you supposed to do? And when you're a broke high school student, how are you supposed to pay for all that stuff? And so it really starts with like educating yourself, being able to reach out to your friends, starting small. And if you have the financial means to like get therapy or anything like that, like I recommend therapy to everyone, even if nothing's going on. It is so good for you. I love it.
Oh gosh, yeah. Just out of my own, my personal story, I had to go through therapy as well for at least a year and a half.
Mhm.
And there's stages where it's so heavy, but you have to just go through it. You have to really go through it, just like an athlete, like in training.
Yeah, I completely agree. I did have a therapist for like a year throughout the pandemic. And then when I came back from Budapest, because my season got cut short because of COVID and everything, I felt really lost. And so we ended up moving to Minnesota, and that's where I started coaching girls hockey like full time. But there was like a huge part of me that felt like it was missing. And I started to get really depressed, bad suicidal thoughts. Like this was in the beginning of this year too. And I started going to therapy again. I was like, every single week I went to therapy. I wrote down everything. I started getting outside my comfort zone. And like, I had already had suicidal thoughts before in the past. So like when I was in 9th grade, so at age 13 or 14, I had it my junior year of college, and then this year. And so pandemic, obviously, like I knew that played a big factor because it hit everyone hard.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like we were so isolated from everyone and everything, and like the biggest thing in life is human connection, and if we don't have that, like what do we have, like
Exactly.
so it's it was definitely tough, but like being able to lean on my support system was huge during that time.
You always need a support group, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Claro?
So you mentioned that you and Claudia, what you guys were saying, you have that barrier you need to break from a person, and it seems like you had that mindset already. It's okay to reach out. How was that ingrained in your head? Did you always know that as a kid growing up, or was there that person who told you, hey, it's okay and you got to speak out because it's important?
See, I wish that I knew it as a kid. I had like obviously the inclination that was what I should have done, but when you're 14 and like I was living with mom, because my mom ended up being a single parent, so she raised all 4 of us by herself, and being able to talk to her wasn't super easy. And so I just held everything inside. So like my freshman year, the reason why I got super overwhelmed, super depressed was because one, I was playing 5 sports. I think it was, I ran cross country, I played tennis, I played basketball for my school, and I was on 2 hockey teams. And I swam. I don't know if I said that. So I had all these things going on. I was the president of my class for like student council. I was valedictorian too. I had all this stuff piling on top of me, and I did not know how to handle it. And so I asked my mom, she's like, you just have to quit some things. But like as Filipinos, we can't quit. I'm like, I don't know what to quit. I don't want to quit anything. Like I like doing all these things, but I don't have all the time in the day. And so I ended up dropping a few things. So basically what led up to the suicidal thought was like, yes, I want to die. I want to end my life. Was like just a bad conversation with my mom. And it was in a car ride. She went to the grocery store, and then that's when I decided. And I don't know if it's like my imagination that made this up, but somebody called me, like an old best friend from elementary school called me, and she was just like, hey, Reagan, I just want to let you know like how much you mean to me and like how good of a friend you are. And I was like, how would that have came at like this time? Like this exact moment where I didn't think I could keep going. And so like from that point on, I decided to like be more open with myself and like make changes. So that's when I went to prep school. And when I went to prep school, that's when I learned to talk to my teammates, talk to my coaches, and like they became my family. That helped it. That made it easier for me to talk about what was going on inside my head and not just keep it inside.
I can't think of another way to describe it. It's like an angel just came, or you call it a perfect storm, perfect timing. So that is like your magic moment. But it got tough for you in the pandemic. How did you like rediscover yourself and then eventually get that energy, pick yourself up, and then you're back to work playing pro hockey? Like how was that recovery process? I know like it's not a short process, I know it takes a long time. So how did you pick yourself up in the pandemic and get back to playing?
Yeah, so when I got back from Budapest, that was probably around September of last year or October, so about a year ago. And I felt like I had no purpose in my life because like I had quit my corporate job to go play hockey overseas, to be a professional hockey player, to like make that my identity. And then when I came back, I had nothing. And so I just put out this TikTok that went a little viral. Like I got 125,000 likes on it from female athletes around the world saying like, yes, I need help with this. And so like my Instagram and TikTok DMs flooded. And so I found a little bit of purpose through that. Then I created that community. And then we were living with his parents, but we're like, we got to get out of here. Like I needed something for me to feel whole again. And my boyfriend was like, let's go to Minnesota. There's tons of hockey there. Like, you love hockey. I was like, you really want to move to Minnesota? Like, it's cold. Like, we're in California. It's nice. And he was like, yeah, let's go. So we moved there. It's negative 25 degrees. The day that we move in, negative 25. My eyelashes are freezing. And it was just like that transition was super hard. Like, not having purpose, then moving to a new city once again. I think I've moved like 6 or 7 times throughout the pandemic in this a year and a half. And then I started to like think about like my life after. It's like, I can't be a hockey coach forever. And so then my purpose question came back into play again. And so that's when I started to see a therapist. I was like, I really need help. Like, I'm not okay. And bless her heart, because oh my God, I do not know what I would have done without her. She was like the best therapist I've ever had. And I've had like 5 or 6 at this point. And so I was super grateful that like we could work it out every single week together. So she helped me for like 4 months straight to work through it. And been a little tough at times, but I'm grateful because like I've grown so much and I've learned so much about myself. And like I'm a completely different person than I was February 2020 of last year, which is crazy, like how much I've grown. And so it's all a process. And like, that's what I just keep my mindset on, is that we'll get there eventually.
Awesome. Normally I'm aware of like the process. You see your therapist, and I know it's not all that, they tell you to do things like engage in other activities. In that case, was it just coaching for you? So was that what helped you find your way? also?
The coaching was good. There were some frustrations there at times because I was like, some days the girls would want to try, some days they wouldn't, but obviously like they had their stuff going on too. And so like, I didn't want to put that on them. And then I realized that like, whenever I wanted the girls to try hard, it was because like, I loved hockey so much that those are actually different girls, but the ones I coached in Minnesota, those are them right there. They're so cute. I love them.
That's them. Cool.
Yes. So we took them to Boston, all that stuff. And it was me branching out too. And like not projecting my insecurities on them because like, obviously like I used hockey to pull myself out of Mississippi to create a better life for myself. And I realized like, they don't have that same lifestyle that I had. Like they weren't in survival mode all the time. And so once I removed that from the situation, things got a lot better. I started playing beer league hockey and I made some really good friends out of that. They invited me everywhere, which was super nice, like getting me to like meet new people. And then traveling on weekends. My boyfriend and I were like, all right, let's just not stay in the city in our apartment. Like, let's go somewhere. Let's go to nature. Let's do whatever we can to like make this better. So it was that, reading, podcast, meditating. It was a whole combination of stuff.
Sounds good. Yeah. Just before I pass to you, Claudia, you mentioned Minnesota, ice skating. All I know there's a lot of snow. My brother went there too. And whenever there's
Tons of
hockey
snow.
movies, Minnesota. They always show Minnesota. That's what I see. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And by coincidence, I only watched Miracle like this week. So perfect timing.
Are you
I
serious?
just realized. Yeah. I saw this graphic of ESPN and they showed a bunch of movies. And I'm like, wow, I only checked half the list. So, okay, I made sure I watched Miracle. I forgot what's next up. Yeah, I forgot
That's
the
my
name.
favorite movie.
Another basketball movie. Definitely not
Yeah.
Coach Carter. Yeah. Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Reagan, you know, you're an athlete, you're a coach. There is, again, I'm going back to that stigma where, a lot of people don't understand that athletes also go through mental health issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
The gymnast, right? How do you help athletes, get, you can't say snap out of it because you can't really just snap out of being depressed. It's not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
It is not that easy. But how based on your experience, and you went through a lot, how do you help athletes, bounce back?
So the big thing that I do is like, one, I let them know that I am not a mental health specialist. Like I did not get my degree in psychology. I didn't do any of that stuff. So like I never try to advise them on how to get through it. I help them with like the steps getting up to a therapist, how to talk to your parents, how to ask for help. Because like that's one of the hardest things is like asking your parents for help because you're like, oh, they're going to judge me, or they're going to say like, oh, you're just being dramatic. Like those are their like actual fears that they have. And so I'm like, the worst thing that they can say is no, they're not going to help you get help. And if they don't, well, you have a school counselor. Let's go to them next and see what we can do from there. But then like the other part of it that I work with is like the mental side of the game. So there's mental health and the mental side of the game, which would be like their confidence, how to get into routines, help them perform better, all that stuff. So honestly, it's very individualized per person because everyone's motivations are different, just like our motivations are different. And so you just have to think about it for them.
Wow. Anyway, Reagan, thank you so much for, we're not ending. I just want to thank you for being so open about your issues and what you've gone through, your experience. Not a lot of people will be so open about it. And
Yeah.
I believe, in my own opinion, I think Clara will also agree with me that people should just be open about what they're going through because you don't
Mhm.
know that you could actually relate to someone else, and that will help you get out of that, right? It'll help you step out and see, hey, I'm not
Yeah.
alone in this.
Exactly. I had a podcast call a couple of days ago with a girl in the NWSL, National Women's Soccer League here or there in the States. And she and I, like, we're about the same age. We're kind of on the same path. We're like, what are we doing next after sports? And so it was nice for us to like have that podcast call, but then forget that we were on a podcast call because we started talking about life and like everything else that just was bothering us. And so the connection piece and not feeling alone is huge.
That's right. And that's the way, especially now in the pandemic. I believe that people, like you said it earlier, human connection.
Mhm.
It's so difficult to to have human connection
Mhm.
when there's a screen in front of you, no? So
Yeah.
That
Pardon?
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really cool. With what you're doing, because people go, yeah, I gotta see a therapist, psychologist, or you name it. But what I like is that you're guiding them to that step. Because yes, it's
Mhm.
just one step, but it feels like it can be a burden for some people just to do it. So I don't know if they need that push or like what you said, that reassurance. So we're not ending, but I'm just saying thanks for what you're doing. I think
Yeah.
it's fabulous to continue to help people to seek help, especially when they need it. But we want to carry on. Like, what's in store? You mentioned the national team part, for the Philippines, if ever. So
Mhm.
am I correct? You got to live here to be able to play, because normally in other sports or international sports, you prove your citizenship and then okay, you can play. Like for basketball and soccer,
Mhm.
long story short, you get your Filipino passport and you can suit up to play for the Philippines. So am I correct? You got to live here to be able to play for our team. Well, yeah.
I don't have a Filipino passport. I don't have citizenship there. I know, I'm a fake Filipino. I don't
And
think my
con
mom does
and
either.
broadcast. Just kidding.
You
I
still
don't think
count.
my mom has it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I looked into it, but my grandmother just came back from the Philippines. That's staying with mom to quarantine for a few weeks before she goes back to California. Um, she just got her citizenship in the U.S. So that took her like it had been 10 years. Like she's been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know what it would be like for me to do the reverse in the Philippines. Maybe it would be easier, but like, I don't know. I'll look into it though, because I do want to play for the Team Philippines.
Cool. Cool.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's it. That's the first step. You want to play for the country.
Yes.
And if it's here in home soil, we'll try to be there. Why not? The
Of
podcast will
course.
support you. Yeah. And then you have
Sounds
to.
good.
That's right.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Well, we can help you out too, if ever, with the little we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys probably know as much as I do, so it's okay.
Because who the heck are we? That's the name of the show. Okay. So, actually, just before the episode, I reached out to Danielle Imperial because she's a friend of the show too. And she sent in some questions for us to ask you. So, I got one here. With your experience in college hockey in the USA and playing professional, what are the important things that a hockey program should have to grow and develop? And what have you learned? And from that, and if what can you bring to the Philippines potentially in the future?
I think culture and leadership are two of the biggest things that you can have. And what I mean by culture is that like you need to have people that know why they're there and have a common mission in mind. Like, what is our overall goal? Why are we here to do what we're doing? And how can we work together to get there? And it's like little goals that lead up to your big goals. And so, like, having a leader, honestly, it's everyone stepping up as a leader in their own way. Whether that's you're a vocal leader or you're the person that shows everyone what you're supposed to be doing, you're the person that makes sure everyone's on time, or you're just there to be a good teammate. Like leadership is huge. And I learned that in my fourth year of college whenever I got named one of the three captains. And so we worked really hard to redevelop a winning culture within the BU organization. And so the year before we had won 14 games, not bad, but like it wasn't a winning season that we wanted. And then for my senior year, we got together, worked with one of the ladies that developed leadership within teams and everything at BU. And so she helped us set up meetings, how to talk to our teammates, how do we lead the way that like we're supposed to lead, because I was the person that could be vocal, but also worked really hard. We had one that was just a really hard worker and showed everyone what to do. And then we had another one that was like really good friends with all of our teammates. She knew how to talk to them and like convince them to get on the same page. And so we ended up having like a 20 plus win season. We won the first ever Bean Pot. Like it was a game changing year for BU women's hockey. And so taking that to the Philippines is huge. Like it's exactly what you need. Danielle's at the top of it, so she better figure it out. She's the captain.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
But you are a Beanpot Hall of Famer too. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but it did.
God, you were talking to a Hall of Famer right
I know,
now.
that's right. And she doesn't know how it happened. Come on, you gotta be proud. I like your coaching, your captain philosophy. And I like what you said was always being there on time. Because Filipinos love being late, right?
Oh, that was like me today. I was like, sorry, I don't have Filipino time.
No, but it's okay. I mean, beautiful, beautiful answer. Okay, there's another question that she sent. Okay, what advice can you give to players here in Manila who continue to play in spite of different challenges they face, like the lack of training, resources, opportunities to compete, politics, costs?
The mall hasn't been open, and
The
that's where
mall
the
hasn't
skating
been
rinks
open.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I think, I mean, it's funny because even though Danielle and I were worlds apart, like we still had similar situations for hockey. Where like obviously like I had more opportunity for hockey here, but like I still only had one rink in my state. And so like finding that ice time, finding it, like why am I pushing so hard to get through all this? And so like I always resorted back to that. Like, what's my why? Why do I want to do this? Why do I love this sport so much? And I think if like everyone has their why in mind of why they love hockey, top of mind at all times, they're going to find a way to train. They're going to find a way to stick handle, to shoot on a net, to get better, even if it's purchasing rollerblades or something along those lines. You got to do what you got to do and like you got to persevere even in these tough times, especially during COVID.
Oh yeah, especially when you're in four walls and you can't go out in the rink. We have two. I think we have two ice rinks here, so we kind of beat you. I think we have
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about Reagan. Introduce
Mega
her a
Mall.
bit to what we know with the
Yes.
skating hockey scene. You got SM South Mall. There used to be a post in the middle of the rink, and I saw a game as a kid.
Post?
There
Yeah,
was
like
a
a
post. Yeah,
How?
but it's gone. They
Oh.
literally a pillar because we were indoors.
It's a
How did
structure
they-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do they skate around it?
So before Clara explains that, it goes to the other rinks that we have here. So when there were competitions, the team will just go straight across our team because we would try. When we would train, we would go around the post, so the middle will always be open.
Oh no.
Yeah. So how Danielle, I think, explained it when we brought it up, if I recall, they were forgetting that they had the right side to attack. They were just going down the middle. Yeah. But thankfully, the ring was transferred to a higher level and it's in a better spot. So there's SM, South Mall.
Yep.
And then I think you got Mega Mall, I think, or North EDSA. It's one of those.
Mega Mall.
Mega Mall. There
yeah.
you go. And then you got Mall of Asia.
Mall
so
of
that
Asia.
is 3. Mall of
Three.
Asia is where the
Wow.
national team would train. They'd move it around from time to time, but it is always in that Mall of Asia complex, closest to the airport. That's what I can say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think we got one more question. Danielle is asking when she should book a plane ticket to get to play with you wherever you are. Ending with a bang.
I'll be in California once I get back from Sweden, so she can meet me there, or she can wait until I come to the Philippines, or we can just do both. Whatever works.
If I'm there for my Disneyland trip, I can help,
Yeah.
feature you guys too.
We can meet up at Disneyland too.
Okay.
It's a small world after all. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think that does it with our formal conversation before we carry on to the quick fire round. Reagan, do you have a message to family, friends? I don't know if you have a fan club in Europe or in the States, or do you want to
I'm
promote
sure Hall of Famer.
the Female Athlete Society or any of your other platforms or your team? Yes, the floor
I don't
is
know if I
yours.
have a fan club, but yeah, like I just am super appreciative of everyone that supported me so far and that continues to support me, especially my family. Don't get to see them that often, but they definitely understand, which is nice. And love that they tune in to watch my games. And I just want to give a shout out to the Female Athlete Society, mainly because I love working with those female athletes and I think they're amazing, and everyone that's helped me make that dream a reality. And yeah, a shout out to my boyfriend also and my best friends that keep me going, my huge support system. I don't know where I would be without them.
All right. Great support system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's carry on to the quick fire round. So the first word that enters your head, knowing that you, as a female pro athlete, are a role model to younger girls.
Warm
Warm. Okay.
feeling inside. It makes me happy.
Cool. Anyway, let's carry on. Your favorite restaurant, wherever, in the States, in
Mi
Europe.
Pueblos.
Okay.
It's
Can you tell us
a
about that
Mexican-
restaurant a bit? Yeah.
It's a Mexican restaurant in Mississippi. Best Mexican restaurant ever.
Looks like I have another restaurant to target when I visit the States. Let's say, I don't know if you guys have like a buffet there or where you get to eat all you can, but let's say you get to bring 3 teammates to join you, and they can be any of your teammates from your days as kids, junior high, college, playing pro, any of your teammates. Name 3.
Okay, Kyla Floresca, the one from Mississippi, Filipino. Let's go. We'll go with Victoria Bach. She just won a gold medal, Canadian women's hockey team for Worlds. And let's see, one other person. It has to be a teammate.
Yeah, a teammate here.
All right, we'll go with Tash Tarnowski. She's hilarious and so much fun to be around.
She is your team. Tash is your teammate where?
At BU, Boston University.
In Boston. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's say there is one thing that you get to bring to Europe with you from the Philippines, but there are no logistical limitations, so you can think of anything.
I think of anything.
Yeah. No need to worry about
Like,
putting it
is
in
it
an airplane.
unlimited? Can I bring unlimited Filipino food? Does that
Okay,
pre-made, ready to go? Does that count?
That works.
That's what I want.
Okay.
It takes so long to make it.
I'm guessing that's the Filipino style lumpia.
Lumpia,
siopaw,
pancit, siopaw.
There you go.
Pancit.
Okay. That's a lot of siopaw.
That's a lot of food.
That's a lot of siopaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Claudia,
Okay.
on to you.
All right, so good. You mentioned earlier off air that you love siopaw, right? Can't find it there in Sweden, and you've eaten it here in the Philippines. And there's 2 flavors, right? You know that, right? The asado and
There's only-
sambal. There's 2.
I didn't know there was names for them, but yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, okay, if you were to choose a Filipino dish that you will eat before a game, would it be pancit canton or lumpia?
It'd
They go
probably
well
be
together.
pancit. Yeah, they do go very well. Pancit and rice. Because I feel like that's a little bit lighter because the lumpia is fried and might make me feel a little sick if I eat too many. I can't control myself.
Okay, all right. Now I will piggyback on Claro's question. If you were to choose 3 professional NHL players that you will have lunch with, or at your favorite restaurant, who will they be?
Sidney Crosby, for one. Can I do a pro women's hockey player?
Yes, any professional hockey. Yeah.
All right, Poulin, Mary-Phil Poulin, captain of Team Canada women's hockey. And then Malkin. I'm like a huge Penguins fan, so Evgeny Malkin, he's hilarious.
Is it okay? There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, now back to the siopaw. How many siopaws can you eat in 10 minutes?
How big are they? Regular size?
Regular size.
Regular American sized, right? It's
Yeah.
much bigger in the USA.
Regular Filipino size.
I could probably have 6 comfortably.
6 siopaws in 10 minutes.
If I have water. I'm not gonna test that.
You're gonna test that.
Yeah, it would definitely hurt my stomach.
If you do the conversion, 6 Filipino style, by my math, that's about 2 or 3. American size
American size.
shop
That
outs.
might be
Yep.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm done. Now I'm gonna eat my shop out.
I'm jealous.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You good,
Got it.
Claudia? Yeah, so I think that does it, no? We're good
Yeah.
for a quick fire round. So anyway, Reagan, we hope you don't mind. We'll just put you backstage and we will just have our closing messages. Thank you so much for joining the show, and we really appreciate listening to your story. We hope that we get to catch you soon. Yeah.
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 Don't
Thank you
leave
so
the
much for having
backstage.
me.
Yeah. Don't
Okay.
you listen to us for a bit.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, hey. So there, that does it for this episode. And it's just amazing. You continue to see that there are Filipinos wherever you go around the world, and Reagan's pursuing it and trying to make it big, or making it big in Sweden. I can't wait for what's in store. And after saying that he's interested in playing for the Philippines, I mean, why not, right?
Yes.
Danielle said that if they go, or if and when that time comes that they're gonna move up to the higher divisions, Danielle did say they're gonna need help from a person
That's right.
like Reagan. I forgot to mention that earlier, but I'm saying it now, and she can hear us.
That's right.
Claudia.
And we could use our connections to get that Philippine passport. Maybe, I don't know, but Clara, for me, again, the highlight of this interview, of this episode, is that she was so open to to her life. You
Super.
hardly hear that. You hardly hear that, especially from athletes, and it's such a inspiration and encouragement for those that are listening. Do not be afraid to speak out. To reach out and know when you do reach out and when you speak out, you're not alone. Because a lot of people, when they're quiet, when they're denying that that they're going through something, that's when it all falls apart. But when you open up, when you start being honest with yourself and speaking out, reaching out, you're a step closer to recovery.
Yeah, 100% with that. I mean, whether you're an athlete or not, it's important that you have to reach out, especially in tough times like these. So you gotta get your support system, because you're not
Yes.
alone. You're not alone, and you can't do it alone. Human beings are social, right? So
That's right.
gotta be there for each other. So I think that does it, right? So Clara Manzano here in behalf of Claudia Perrine and my barking dog Seb in the back. We will catch you next episode. So goodbye for now. Thank you very much for watching Who the Heck Are We? And our podcast is a member of the Globally Ballin Network. So do check them out for original sports content. Screenshot that page, or if you're in audio, check the link in our bio to access all of that. Let's carry on. Follow us on social media too at WTHAW Podcast. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And our episodes are on the YouTube page of Globally Ballin. Subscribe, hit that bell button, never miss a beat. So again, search Globally Ballin, check the content of Who the Heck Are We? If you are on the go, you could also check us out on Spotify. Just search Who the Heck Are We? Other sister shows are also available right there. Just search them up, such as An Eternity of Basketball and Hang Time. Also have, again, Hang Time with Denise Dinsay as one of our sister shows. So head over there for your volleyball kwentuhan with the different personalities. We also have An Eternity of Basketball with Noel, Charlie, Sid, JP Mercado. Relive the golden era of Philippine hoops. Also, thank you to our sponsors. We got Shops to Go for a yummy chicken, chips, and milk tea too, in fact. So thank you to their branches in SM Bikutan, SM South Mall, SM North Eds for sponsoring us. New Era Cap PH2 for the finest headwear. Hiniluban Farms for your coffee. And Adlai, support local, just like Georgie's and Our Fratelli. Georgie's Delights, they give you your fantastic breakfast snacks. Our Fratelli, they give you your soulful cereal, milk, ice cream, and it was fantastic. Cuts Apparel too, again, for your biking button-down polos and your golf polos too. Give them a follow at Cuts Apparel PH. Thank you, Cuts, also for our very own uniforms. Do you need company or sports uniforms too? You can get them custom made again with Cuts Apparel PH.